Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and yeah, the Oscars, I don't actually know if they already aired or not by the time I'm getting this video out there. I'm hoping to get it out like before they air, but I don't know if they will or not. We'll see. But you read the title, you saw the thumbnail. Yes, that's right. I am going to rank all 10 of the best picture nominated movies from the 98th Academy Awards or the 2026 Oscars, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, I watched all 10 of them. Some of them I watched actually in theaters last year, and then some I actually didn't get to catch until at home this year in 2026. But yeah, we're going to talk about them. I'm going to give you my opinions and some very, very hot takes, because I think some of these a lot of people are going to be upset about, but some of these people are also probably going to agree. So let's just get started. In last place, I have The Secret Agent. So I don't know. It's just something about this movie. I found that I couldn't really get too into it, to be honest. Like, first of all, I do think that the movie is way too long. I think it could have been a good, like, 20, maybe 30 minutes shorter. It was just, for me, it was one of the few movies where I couldn't help but check my watch when I was watching. I was like, how much longer is in this movie? I had a very hard time getting into it. Like, I didn't get too connected to the characters. Now, I'll admit, the day I finally had time to watch it was also a day I was kind of tired. So it's possible that could have affected it, I won't lie. So I probably should be able to give this one a second shot. But I feel like that also says something that I don't really want to give it a second shot, because it's just, I'd rather watch something else. So I wouldn't say it's a bad movie by any means, but it's just not one of my personal favorites. I don't know if I can see why it got nominated for Best Picture. I do see why our lead, whose name I'm blanking on right now, got nominated for Best Actor, because he was actually really good in this movie. But when it comes to the actual movie itself, it was alright, but not one of my favorites, and I probably won't ever go back to it. And it's also one that I probably wouldn't have watched if it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. Next up, at number 9, I have another probably hot take, Sentimental Value. There's a part of me that feels almost kind of bad, because the bottom two are both of the international films. And I don't really have too bad of a problem with, like, international films, like, with subtitles, because I loved Godzilla -1. I thought that movie was amazing. And this is another one that I think is good. I actually do prefer over The Secret Agent, but it's still not one that I got, like, super duper into and that I loved and that I want to rewatch. But I did like the story that was being told with this strained relationship between a father and daughter, and the father wants to make this movie and wants his actress daughter to perform in it, but she doesn't want to. But then it does come to the end where she does eventually play in it. It is a sweet story, but for the most part, I just found that I wasn't as interested in it. It does have a better pacing than I think, like, say, Secret Agent does, but it was still one of those movies that I just couldn't really get super into. Even though the cast is amazing. I understand why everybody got nominated for the casting stuff. And I can even somewhat get why this one got nominated for Best Picture. Not one of my favorites. Probably not one I'm going to go back to. But good, just not what my kind of movie, I guess. Alright, number 8, I have Bugonia. This was actually a good movie, but it's still one that I would watch the other ones over it. Like, what was actually very interesting to me is how good the dialogue and back and forth was between Emma Stone's character and Lemon's character. Their back and forth throughout the whole movie was surprisingly, like, really engaging. And I do think it was a good job at being thrilling, especially during this, where you're questioning, like, is he wrong or is he right? I may or may not have predicted that he might have been right. But is he wrong or is he right? If he's right, then is this still messed up? If he's wrong, this is extremely messed up. And, like, the acting in it was by this entire cast really was great. There is some stuff that, like, that I don't know if it was really necessary. Like, there's this whole, like, side story with this cop who was bad to Jess's character in the movie, and then he ends up getting killed. I don't think that was needed. I don't think that was necessary. I think that could have been removed from the movie. I personally don't like the ending. I know that some people might like the ending. I don't like the ending. Not the twist of Emma Stone being an alien. I probably should mention spoilers at the beginning of this video. Whoops, too bad. Sorry. My issue was just how they decided to end the movie with literally killing off all of humanity. Didn't like that. I think that could have been handled much better. But that's just me personally. I don't know. So yeah, the movie, it is a good movie, but it's also one that I don't think I'll ever be going back to anytime soon. I won't lie, this is one that I wasn't super interested in checking out either. I only watched it because of it being nominated for Best Picture, but it was a good movie. It's just not one I'll probably ever go back to. Now we have a very controversial one, I think. At number 7, I have One Battle After Another. Now, I will confess this to you. This one was almost one higher, and I kept going back and forth. It's possible that when I'm done recording this video, that it does move up one on my ranking. But for now, this is where it lands. And here's the thing. This is a good movie. I do think this is a good movie. I just don't fully get all the hype around it. Like, I do kind of get why I was nominated for Best Picture, but even though it looks like it's going to win it, at the time of recording this, obviously I don't know if it wins or not. I'm pretty sure it's going to win, and if it does win, I don't fully get it. There are people who said this was their number one film of the year for 2025. Again, I don't fully get it. And because, like, I do like the basic story of this dad trying to find his daughter who was kidnapped because of him having a past with the revolution. And then, like, I enjoy that story of Leo, and Leo does a great job in this role. And so does, what's her name? Chase Infinity? Is that the girl's name? Who was also great in this. But, like, I think the movie is way too long. I don't think it needed to be nearly as long as it was. I think the first half of the movie kind of drags a bit. And I just don't see why people love it so much, when to me it's a good movie, but it's not great. This is another one that I don't think I'll be checking out again anytime soon. And similar thoughts when it comes to the next one, that being at number 6, Marty Supreme. This is another one that, this is, what's interesting about this one too is that I actually think that they could have made an even better movie. Because, so here's the thing, I think Marty Supreme is a good movie, but not a great movie. Another one where I kind of can get, I guess, why it was nominated, but I don't think it should win. It's not going to win. And then I saw another one that people are like, oh, this is like top 10 of the year. No, how? I don't get it. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But, like, I feel like a lot of stuff with, like, Gwyneth Paltrow's character, a lot of that I think could have been cut out. The movie could have been much shorter, I think. There are moments that drag. When it actually was him playing ping pong, and that, like, whole tournament, I thought that was all very interesting. And the other storyline that they had going on that I thought was very interesting was with him and the character Rachel, Odessa Zion's character, who I don't think she was nominated. I feel like she should have been for actress. I thought that storyline was really intriguing, where they are partners, but then they split, and then when she has this kid, she's like, it's yours. He's very in denial. Because I also, like, love how it ends with Marty, like, looking at his kid and starting crying, like, oh man, that is my kid. I thought that was great. That and the ping pong stuff was great, but there's so much other extra stuff that I don't think was necessary. Like I said, with Gwyneth Paltrow's actress character, as well as, did we really need the one, like, gangster character? I don't know if we really needed that. So, there's just so much in this movie that I don't think we needed. But if they were to have stuck with those two storylines, I think it would have been an even better movie. And I also think if they did Marty's redemption and downfall a bit better too. Like, I mean, it wasn't bad, but I think he should have had a bigger downfall and then more of an obvious redemption. And I think that could have also made the movie so much better, because he is not a great person in this movie. Like, you kind of don't like him, and you kind of are rooting for him to lose, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, I think that, because I also love redemption stories, I think it could have been awesome if he was like so cocky, and then he has this huge downfall, but then he redeems himself and comes back around, and even starts being there for Rachel. Like, I think that could have been so great, and they didn't dive into that as much as I would have liked. So, yeah, good, but I still don't fully get the love for this movie, if I'm being honest. Like, so, yeah. Again, I feel like just those two placements probably have a lot of people upset with me. But don't worry, you're still going to continue to be upset with me, because as we continue, kicking off the top 5, I have Train Dreams. Now, what's funny about this one is this is one that I actually was not looking forward to watching. This is one that I was like, I don't know. I wouldn't have watched it if it wasn't nominated, just because it doesn't look like something that I'd be interested in, with this railroad worker. But then I watched it, and I was like, wow, this movie is actually really good. First of all, the cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. Like, there are so many amazing and beautiful shots in this movie. And it's also just a beautiful story that kind of reminded me of another movie we're going to talk about, in Hamnet. It really it was this beautiful story of like the progression of time. This guy who starts his family, but then he loses his family while he's out working on the railroads, and just how heartbreaking that is. Seeing him try to move on from that, and and even that like ending with him in the plane. What shocked me on how emotional it was, and how big of a emotional gut punch it was. Like it may have not have made me feel the feels at the end of this movie. Maybe even brought a tear or two. Like, and that just like shocked me. Like, I was not expecting to feel feels watching this movie. It wasn't even one that I was like looking forward to watching to, but I watched it and it made me feel feels at the end. So I was like, wow, this movie was actually like really good. Like, this is one that, yes, this should have been nominated for Best Picture, and also, yes, it definitely needs to be nominated for Best Cinematography, and to me, it should be either this or Sinners that wins it, personally. So, yeah, so, yeah, I greatly enjoyed this one. Wasn't expecting to, so that was honestly, like, a nice surprise. So, yeah, and I feel like it's one that's not talked about as much as some of the others. Like, I feel like Murray Supreme, One Battle, and even like Bugonia and Sentimental Value and some of the others we'll talk about later are talked about much more than this one is. And I do think it does also suck that this was a Netflix movie. Why wasn't this like yeah, it was put in the theater in the select theaters for a small amount of time. That way it could be eligible for Oscars. And then technically, I believe, like AMC and I think Cinemark are doing like marathons of all the Best Picture winners, and you could watch it in theaters that way. But I didn't have the time to go check those out. So to me, it's also like, why didn't this get a full theatrical run on Netflix? Like, I wish I could have seen these beautiful visuals in a theater, and even the sound design I think was great too. All right, moving on to number 4. I have Frankenstein. This is one that I actually was looking forward to. I have not read the book Frankenstein, and I don't even think I've actually seen the entire like a lot of adaptations of Frankenstein. Just I've always known for who Frankenstein was, and like the basic story, because I mean I feel like it's so popular that it's harder to not know who Frankenstein is or what the story is. But I went into this one curious, and I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. It doesn't shy away from being gross and violent at times, which kind of works for the story that they're telling. I think the actors in this is great. I do like the story that the take that they're doing with who is the real monster, which isn't like, I feel like has probably been done before. But who is the real monster? Is it is it Frankenstein's monster, or is it Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, that is? And then also, like, I think it just is an interesting story in and of itself, of this guy trying to fight death, and then he creates this monster. Now, I do think there are certain issues with it. Like, again, I think pacing is an issue here, where I think the movie is a bit too long. But also, I feel like it has a problem where at the end, I love how these two are trying to kill each other, but then like at the end, I do like how they kind of like come to terms with each other. But I also feel like that was a bit rushed, because he was like, Frankenstein was literally just hunting him down to kill Dr. Frankenstein, and then all of a sudden, within context of the movie, he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna try to kill you. And then, but he's also, Dr. Frankenstein is also dying. So I feel like that could have been built up to and done better. But for the most part, I did enjoy this movie. It's another one though, I'm not sure if I'd go back to it anytime soon, but I really enjoyed it. Okay, now kicking off the top 3, I have Hamnet. I actually really enjoyed this one. Admittedly, mainly the second act. I do think that the first half is a bit too slow and does drag at points. But once we hit that second act, where I would argue that once the kids are actually born, that's when the movie picks up for me personally, because it puts a smile on my face seeing this family together and playing together. That just puts such a huge smile on my face. And then the death of Hamnet is just so heart-wrenching, and then the story just keeps that up as it goes along with playing with your emotions. I think it's such a great story too, about showing how people grieve and heal in different ways. We have William Shakespeare healing in a completely different way by writing this play Hamlet, and his wife Jessie Buckley's character, I forget Jessie Buckley's character's name, is going about it in a different way and doesn't understand why her husband is like going off and doing this play when his son just died, until we get to the end where she finally realizes that this is how he's grieving, and with a beautiful scene of her at watching the play of Hamlet. And like first, there's multiple moments that got me hitting me in the feels that may have made a tear or two. But then the way that it ended with her watching Hamlet was the most powerful moment, I think. And it really was just like, oof. I think there may have been a tear or two here also. I just thought that the second half of this movie is great. Again, I think the first half is kind of slow and drags a bit, but once we hit that second half, it is, I think, pretty great. And Jessie Buckley is the one that we kind of all know is winning the Oscar. It'd be kind of crazy if somehow she doesn't, but she's won everything leading up to it, and I think it's pretty well deserved. Okay, now with these top two, admittedly, there's a part of me that wonders if maybe I should switch these two, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be different and make people mad at me, because at number 2, I have Sinners. Now, this is the first movie that we've gotten to so far in this 10 movies that actually was in my top 10 of the year. I believe it came in around 8-ish, I think. I could be wrong. I'd have to go check back again. But I thought this was great. Admittedly, I didn't check it out when it was first in theaters because I'm not much of a horror person. I was like, I'm not sure. But then everybody was like, this movie is fantastic and amazing. So I was like, you know what? I'll check it out. I watched it. I thought, wow, that was shockingly great. And I think it is because it's not just full horror. It's also like, it is truly a story about two brothers trying to trying to follow their dream, start this like music juke joint. And then it's also a story about their cousin who like who wants to like break away from just doing gospel music, but then sees the dangers of like the rest of the world and like trying to choose a side. And then I loved how they portrayed the vampires in this too. And like one thing that I heard mentioned that I also loved is how the vampires couldn't enter a building without being let in, which I thought was great. I just think it's such a great film, and like the third act just goes insane with the violence, which is just like kind of crazy. It's like, oof, like that. Yeah, the third act just goes insane with the violence. And the cinematography I thought was great in this. The acting I thought was great in this. I personally am kind of rooting for Michael B. Jordan at the Oscars, just because I think he did such an amazing job as both Smoke and Stack in this movie. And yeah, I just thought it was. I just think this movie is great. It is top 10. This is the movie that I do understand why it was nominated. This is the movie that I kind of want to win because I know my number one movie here won't win. Just because, well, I mean, come on. I feel like we all kind of know that my number one won't win because you know what the number one is now. But, so, since I know that one won't win, this would be the one that I hope wins and I'm kind of rooting for. I thought it was great, and I kind of was shocked, too. And this is actually the one where I saw that they re-released it in the theater near me. I was like, I have to see this in the theater since I missed it. Not IMAX, sadly, but I was actually able to check this one out in the theater. And I almost forgot, the music itself in this movie is great. Whether you're talking about the score or the songs, it is awesome. Now, but for me personally, my number one is F1. Now, I know that's probably going to get a lot of people upset because I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to like people who are like very into these Oscar movies, like that, this movie should not have even been nominated. But I don't care. I love me blockbusters. I love me a sports film, a good sports film. It is kind of a movie that you probably have seen a story like this before in sports movies. I don't care. I loved it. First of all, it does such a great job making you feel the thrills of being in this race with them. I love some of the camera work that they did in this, especially during the race scenes. I really like the characters that were in this too. Brad Pitt's character, I do enjoy, and even like this new up and comer whose name I'm forgetting at this time. And I like their dynamic back and forth, butting heads, but then coming to terms with each other by the end. The sound design is great in this movie also. So, like, this is the kind of movie that I like. I like these kind of blockbuster movies, so obviously it's my favorite out of these 10. I never would have guessed that this one would have been nominated. Like, when I saw it was nominated, I was like, wow, they actually nominated a more blockbuster-style movie. That kind of took me by surprise, but I love it. I know it doesn't have any chances of winning, but it is my personal favorite of the 10. This one also was in my top 10 of the year. This one is actually in my top 5. I believe it kicked off the top 5 of my favorites of the year. So, yeah, I thought this was a great movie. I think that all of these movies are good, although obviously I prefer some more than others. But yeah, that's my ranking of the 10 Best Picture nominated movies for the 2026 Oscars. And I'd love to see what yours is. What's your favorite on this list? What's your least favorite? Do you think any of these movies are? How do you feel about these movies? Are they good, bad, terrible, great, mid? Let me know all your thoughts about these movies down below. If you're curious about my predictions of who's going to win in each category of the Oscars, I already did that video. You can check that out. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.